with pollster and communications strategist Frank Luntz. Also, long history in politics. Frank, it's good to have you. I'm actually going to begin with the same question I started Mark Preston on, given your experience and your focus groups and your plumbing the numbers in the polling. That rally last night, again, not an outlier message. It's central to his campaign. Is he winning or losing voters with that message?
It doesn't seem to impact him. And I have to tell you, I'll go to something even bigger than that, which is the presidential debate, watched by 75 million people. Donald Trump was horrific in that debate, a clear loser, and it had no impact. And I've had to acknowledge, I want to acknowledge, that I thought that he had lost the election because of his debate performance. And what did I see? Trump has come back. He's back in this race. He's dead even with the vice president right now. And I don't know. It's just too close to call. And so if debates don't matter, and rallies don't matter, and interviews don't matter, and facts don't matter, then what exactly matters in American politics? It's a frightening thought, but we have to entertain it.
Let's throw up some of the latest general election national polls that we've seen. And you do see some variety there, as we've become used to with polls. Some show, as you say, a dead heat, including CNN's poll to polls. There was an ABC poll. There's one there. This is a CBS News poll, actually, showed Kamala Harris up by 1, but really within the margin of error. The ABC News poll showed a wider margin to Harris's advantage, 51 to 47. CNN averages out the polls that CNN finds meet its standards, and they find about a dead heat. When you look at the numbers, do you see a dead heat?
I absolutely see a dead heat. I want you to consider this. Trump was indicted 91 times. He was convicted of 34 felonies. He was impeached twice. January 6th. And yet he's dead even with her. And I know that we're speaking about Donald Trump, but actually, with 8 days to go, Trump's numbers are baked. They're done. We know everything there is to know about him. We've heard everything there is. We've lived through it. We really should be talking about Vice President Harris. Why is she not caught on? What's holding her back? She had one of the most successful launches of any presidential candidate in modern history. She went from 5 points behind to 3 points up in a matter of weeks. And then she turns on Trump. And then her campaign stops being about what she's going to do and starts being about what he's done and will do. And I note that it just froze right there. And in fact, she's probably retrenched a point or two since she hit her peak. The public wants to know more. They want to know what she will do in her first day, in her first week, in her first month. And the campaign is going more and more negative on Trump, using Trump's own words against him. But it's a focus on Trump rather than herself. At what point is she going to tell the American people what she's about? At what point is she going to get specific, detail-oriented, who wins and who loses? I think that that's the most important attribute right now, and I don't see it happening.
Yes, I mean, you're not alone in that criticism. I mean, you even heard that from some Democrats. But the fact is that Harris has presented, for instance, programs aimed at Black Americans, opportunity zones, et cetera, grants to start businesses, similar directed at Latino voters that they're trying to target there. I wonder, is it the campaign, or is it how the campaign is discussed, right? I mean, is it partly the way we cover this election in terms of a horse race and so much focus on Donald Trump's words?
Look at your question, and I like this show. And I enjoy you as an interviewer. I think you're one of the best, and that's why I do your show. You ask about programs for Black Americans. You asked about a program for Latino Americans. What about a program for all Americans? What is going to happen with affordability? What's going to happen with the border, the two biggest issues, immigration and affordability? She's done an excellent job on focusing on the abortion issue, on the women's health issues, and even on health care. But those aren't the number one and number two issues for all of America. And she still hasn't said what she's going to do, unless I missed it, in the first hour of her presidency, in the first day of her presidency, and in the first week of her presidency. And she's only got 7 days to go. I'm wondering if she's too late.
Yeah, it's that old phrase, what is your plan during the first 100 days, which almost seemed to be a requirement for presidential candidates in the past. Before we go, just quickly, I imagine with 8 days to go, it's probably too late to do that for most voters.
But you have to try. And the thing is, this has not been a good campaign. This has not been a good election. The Americans there's so many people who dislike both candidates. I think that on election day, it's going to be the highest negativity for the Republican and Democratic nominee in modern history, that people are going to hold their nose and vote for one or the other. I wish I could tell you, viewers, who's got the lead, but I think neither of them do. I think the swing states are going to break individually and not as a group. And frankly, we're not going to know who won for days after this election. You can go and replay this interview 48 hours after the election, because I still don't think we're going to know. But I do know this. The public, in the end, the persuadables, are asking for more details. They don't feel like they've heard enough. They've heard the slams, they've heard the smears, and they've heard the criticism. They simply want to know, what are you going to do for them? And I think they've got the right to ask that question.
They absolutely have the right to. Frank Luntz, always to get your expertise. Always good to get your expertise. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you. It's a privilege.